everyone, and welcome to Hudson Valley Knits. I am Amy, and this is episode 70 of Hudson Valley Knits. It has been so stinking hot in New York lately. So I am podcasting indoors. Not to mention, we've been getting these torrential downpours sporadically. So it's just not feasible to podcast outside. I was going to last weekend, but again, we had rain all weekend. So I thought I'd put it off and wait, but it just became swelteringly hot and humid. And by sweltering, I mean by New York standards, I guess in the 90s is sweltering here, especially, the humidity was really, really thick. So I'm in my room. It is, what did I mention the date? It is Sunday, August, I think it's the 15th? I'm checking, 14th. Sunday the 14th. It's been 3 weeks since our last podcast. I have gotten a lot of knitting done. A huge chunk of that was on the test knit I'm doing for Donna Dracunis on the Love is Love pie shawl, which obviously I can't show you, but I'm really enjoying the knit. So I did spend a lot of time on it. I finished the first clue, and she just sent us the second half of the pattern, so I'll meander along with that. I do believe she's releasing the first clue next week or so. I highly recommend the patterns. From what I've seen so far, it's fun, it's beautiful, and it's for a good cause. So let's get, I'm drinking wine. It's been a long day, but let's get into the whips, and I can talk about what I've been doing at the end of the podcast. Whips, my plain vanilla socks. Last time I podcast, I had the first one complete, so you have seen the first one. These socks are knit with lollipop yarn in the Independence Day, or is it Independence Day? Shoot, I forget exactly what it's called. Yes, Independence Day colorway by Lollipop Yarn. I got this from Jen Smiley's shop, and it came with this matching bag, which I love. Perfect sock knitting, square sock knitting bag. Here's the yarn. Close. There's grays, there's speckled, there's blues, and there's red. And let me show you. This is the second sock. And here is what I've gotten so far. I'm trying to get the best possible light because I am indoors. It's not the best light situation. Plus, it's overcast outside, so there's not a lot of natural sun. And I have one light on, so there it is. You can see how beautiful and speckled it is. These will be a Christmas present for my brother-in-law, who is very patriotic, and their house has a patriotic theme with red, white, and blue everywhere, and eagles, and all that kind of stuff. So I know he'll love these socks. Let me show you the first one. This is actually my first time knitting with Lollipop Yarns. And it's really, really nice sock yarn. It seems sturdy. It's got nylon blend. And it's really... It's like any other nylon blend socks, but the dye job is beautiful, if I do say so. And I love that it came with the 2 colors for knitting toes and socks. And you'll have to forgive me because my scissors are stuck to it. But it came with a skein of the navy blue and a skein of the red that you could do your toes and socks with. And my yarn is stuck on my little mini scissors. So, that being said, I hope they fit. I've been having my son try them on because actually my brother-in-law is a half a shoe size bigger than him, so I just knit what would be a little bigger for my son. And he was actually saying the first sock was a little snug. I'm making the second sock a little wider, more stitches, but that's going, I only did 2 more stitches because I didn't want to affect too much the color change width. So we'll see how they come out. I hope they fit my brother-in-law. If not, I guess maybe I would give them to my son and have to do something else for him. I don't know. But really enjoyable knit. I got my needles in my Poke Me Knot, which is Jan Smiley also sells these. These are great for keeping your sharp needles from poking through your bag. I highly recommend them. Or something that, keeps your needles. I know that some other Etsy shops sell those, more for DPNs. They sell these little pouches with snaps so that you could put the DPNs in there and then snap it shut. So obviously this is what you would use for circular needles. The other for DPNs. But I have something that I use for my DPN. I could show you. I have it over here. Hold on one second. I'm going to show you because I love it. I think I got it at Webb's. Or maybe not because it's not in my little bowl. All right, it's not in my little bowl, but I have things. It's like 2 rubber caps, and it's got a piece of elastic between it, and I just use that on my DPN. But so that's my, pair of socks. I haven't knit on these as much lately because I've been focusing on my other projects. So I didn't get a lot of time on this, but it's moving along, and this is just, there's no rush on the socks. They're just there to knit on when I have a time to do a few rounds and I don't want to really think, or I'm watching TV, and it's something of that. So next product is in my Bags by Granny bag. Is that what she calls herself? Hold on. Bags by Awesome Granny. And Awesome Granny makes awesome bags. I know if you're a podcast-aholic like myself, I think I saw her bags on the Knitwit podcast. What do they call themselves? The Knitwits? I watched them on YouTube. They were bragging on their Awesome Granny bags, and I had to have it. So, let me see if I can. Sorry, my keyboard's out of the way. I'm trying the Naughty Knitwits. They're the ones that were talking about the Awesome Granny bags. And I went and scat me up this one and this one. I love them. Very well made. Have this little side thing with a hope, trust, love. It's nice. You could hang things from it, but I don't. And she also throws in, with this particular bag, I also got a matching Notions pouch, which is great, and I use it. And speaking of Notions pouch, I really need a new one. But she also throws in this progress keeper that says Bags by Awesome Granny, which I'm not using because I find it's just too heavy and it pulls on the stitch. But I thought that was a nice little addition. I put it on the zipper for a little while, but it clanked around and made too much noise, so I took it off. But anyway, in this bag is the Tiny Tea Leaf Cardigan. Alright. And this is by, I think it's a Madeline Tosh pattern. If I am not mistaken. It's by Melissa Labar. And I am using Barocco Vintage. This is in, I don't think they do colorways. I think they just do numbers. Yeah, color number 51190. It's a beautiful blue-green. I guess more blue than green. I'm doing the size 4 for my niece's daughter, who is, I think, 3. And I'm hoping it's long enough. But you know what? If she wants it a little longer, I can rip it out and knit the bottom a little longer. I finished one of the sleeves, and I shall soon be picking up these stitches for the next sleeve and knitting that. Pattern is easy and well written. The knitting is actually very enjoyable, and I really, really liked it. I think it's a paid for pattern, so you do have to pay for it, but it's a great pattern to have for knitting baby gifts. Yeah, so after I do the sleeve, I'll just have to do the button band, and I have to pick out a few buttons for the top. I haven't decided yet. So there is a good representation of the color. You can see there's like speckles of like a purpley, speckly, rosy color, I guess you might say. And I love the ruched yoke. I really like it. So once this is done, I have another niece. And by the way, this little girl's mom is the model for my Awakening Cowl pattern, which is a free pattern. So her name is Catherine, and her daughter's name is Ella. So this is Ella's sweater. And my other niece, Patricia, she did the photography. And she asked me in return to knit a sweater for her daughter, Cadence, who is, I think Cadence is 4 or 5. I think 4. Oh, this is wrong. All right, I don't have that bag handy, but I'm going to knit Cadence it's a tin can knit pattern. I forget what it's called. It has it's a cardigan with like a yoke with cables. Dang, what is the name? I totally forget. Hold on. Q. I'm looking on my computer right now. Oh, yes, the Antler Cardigan by Tin Can Knits. That's what I'll be knitting after I finish this one. Sorry, I have to, I do have show notes. I do, right here, right? Show notes. And I forget to write things down, so. In this bag, my other awesome granny bag is the Love is Love pie shawl that I told you I am test knitting for Donna Jakunis. And I probably won't be able to show you this until the fall, when or at least till after all the clues have been released. And I have showed the yarn, which is awesome. I love the yarn. This is by On the Round, and it's called Cornucopia. And that's my rainbow color. They're less bright rainbowy and more jewel tone rainbowy, which I like. And this is Malabrigo Impressionist Sky, and the two look absolutely beautiful together. And you may, if you follow me on Instagram, I was knitting on this at the coffee house yesterday, and I was ironically watching on my iPad a download Craftsy class called by Laura Nelkin about fixing lace knitting mistakes. And I'm like, because I was not paying attention and watching the workshop on knitting, fixing lace knitting mistakes, I dropped a whole bunch, 4 rounds down, and I had to do, some repairs, which required some concentration, so I shut off the video, and I did, and it looks fine, absolutely fine. But I find it just kind of funny that that's the reason, how it happened. So, there's the project I wanted to show you. Oh, what do I have next? I have my Awakening cowl. So that's right here. I was actually knitting on this before I started the podcast. I think last time, I've only done a few rounds since I last podcast. This has been on the back burner. I've been doing mostly the test knit and the baby sweater. But I got a few rounds done. I am on the second main pattern repeat. I love this pattern. Well, obviously because I dreamt it up, and it's something I like. But I love Fair Isle. Guys, if you gotta try Fair Isle. And I hope you try it, when you try it, you use my pattern. Had some steeking in there, and it's just fantastic. So, next I have, the Lazy Days of Summer Shawl. This has truly been, I don't want to say a lazy summer knit, but I have been working on this shawl since late spring. Let me get it. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. This is in my Little Skein in the Big Wool bag. I love her bags too. I love these zipper pulls. I like bags with these zipper pulls, and she does have them. You have to pay $5 extra for them, but I love them. I love this fabric. Purple is one of my favorite colors. I love the matching lining. Love it all. So this, I actually did do quite a bit of knitting on this. And while it was a free pattern, it's only free if you use Art Yarns. And I used Art Yarns Merino Cloud. Trying to get, it's like a beautiful blue-green, and you are not seeing it at all. Dang. Oh, this is a shame because it's a beautiful color. Let me see if I can. It's a little better. It's better when I'm outside, if you guys have ever seen me outside. And this is the matching color in the silk and beads and sequins. And let me show you the shawl. Ooh. I actually have the Progress Keeper on this. Let me see. The colorway is 316 on the, and with silver beads on the beaded silk and sequins yarn. And the colorway is H3 on the Merino Cloud, but they're identical. They truly are very, very identical. Here is the shawl. Really nice pattern. It was my TV knitting while Outlander and Game of Thrones was on, and then after the shows ended, I've slowed down a bit on it, but this past couple of weeks I did do quite a few rows. Where's that Progress Keeper? Where is it? Oh, it's all the way down here. Okay. See how much I've done? There's a Progress Keeper on this side right there. Yeah, and here's the side with where the sequin yarn is added. Oh, there you get a good view of the color. This is going to be a beautiful shawl. It will stretch out much bigger once I block it. I know this because I've done another shawl with the same yarns, different pattern. I had actually made it up and then realized I picked the same stitch pattern as a published pattern, which was free. So I just said I knit the other pattern, which is fine. I really like this. Let me actually change that Progress Keeper. I've been knitting it on I haven't mentioned this, I have a pair of 4.5 millimeters or size 7 signature needles. They are the kind where the tip screws off, the newer kind, and they're great. The only thing I don't like about this particular pair, and I don't have this problem with the others, is the cord is rather stiff and it holds like, it has a memory and it gets all kinked up. It's not very, you can see here. See how it's holding the shape? That bothers me because when you're holding this up, it's like all crooked. But let me change that Progress Keeper while I have this out so I can, if I work on it, you can see exactly how much I've done. And okay, that's in. So this has been really nice. It was an unplanned project, which kind of got in the way of some of my goals that I had set for this year, and I'm going to talk about that later on in the podcast. But this is like blame number one. Was I saw her announcing this knit along, and I had the yarn in my stash. I had gotten it for Christmas from my sister, and I'm like, why not? I'm thinking it's mindless knitting, and quite honestly, I love art yarns, and wearing that yarn around my neck is like, it's heaven. It is. Is that it? Oops, I put the pattern back in there. Just throw that there. Is that it? Let me check my show notes. No, it's not it. I have one more whip. What, pray tell, could that be? It's my Shirley pattern sweater. And I am not going to take it out. I am not going to put it on because I turned the AC off just so I could podcast without all the background noise. But I will insert a picture here. This is just my little signal, so I know where to edit. And because I did take some pictures of me wearing it earlier today. So you guys can see how long the sleeves are. They're about this much too long with my hands straight out, which means there's like 5 inches. I know what I did wrong. Okay. First of all, I checked my row gauge on my swatch, and I was thinking, did I mess it up? My row gauge on my swatch I had correctly, and according to the calculations, my sleeves should have been correct. What went wrong? 2 things contributed to this. The first thing was, by the time I knit my sleeves, my row gauge had changed. And that caused, it became much looser, and that caused my stitches to be longer. And because I calculated the rows based on a tighter gauge, it required more rows, and that made it in turn longer. That attributed to a few inches. But the real thing was, I measured my sleeve from here to here, my sleeve length. What I didn't take into account was my sleeves are semi-sent in. They're semi-set in. They not drop shoulder, but set in 2 inches. And so they come down to about here, and there's like 3 inches between here and here. So I didn't take into account that my sleeves weren't starting up here. They were starting down here. So what I'm going to do, and I actually was reviewing, Carol Feller has a Craftsy class on sweater surgery that I have subscribed to quite some time ago. I've watched the whole thing already, but I watched it again, and I feel very confident. I have done surgery before. If you have been watching me last year for Rhinebeck, I knit is it an Amy Miller sweater? Let me find out which one it was, but it was actually way too short, and my row gauge was way too tight. And honestly, I'll take some of the blame, but the pattern was also not very well written, in my opinion. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. There was a lot to it. It's definitely not for beginners. And yeah, it's Ice Shanty sweater by Amy Miller. I did some sweater surgery, and actually there's some podcasts showing that, where I basically cut just above the ribbing and then knit down more and then redid the ribbing. So I'm feeling fine. The only thing I'm not sure of is, because my sleeves are knit one, purl one, I don't want to do the cuffs again, right? I don't want to reknit the Fair Isle cuffs. But I'll have more stitches when I get up to where I'm cutting it. And then, I guess, how do I graft the knit one, purl one to stockinette stitch? I'm going to have to figure that out. there's gotta be in my Craftsy class repertoire some reference to grafting when you have knit one, purl one, or something like that. I know there is. I remember listening to it. I remember it, but I don't remember which class it was, and I would definitely have to review it. Or I could just cut my sleeve, knit one round, and then graft it to the cuff. Which I don't think would look too bad because the cuff itself is stockinette. It's Fair Isle. You will know by the next podcast. And the next podcast, it will be perfect. I knit it with 6 inches of ease, and if you look at the picture again, and maybe I'll put it in here again, I knit the bottom with 6 inches of ease. I am wide at the bottom, and I have a big bum. That's where I, carry my weight and my hips and my backside. And in proportion, my waist is a little smaller. I have a little belly because I'm a big girl, but that's not where I carry most of my weight, right? So I decided to go for 6 inches of ease on the bottom, and I actually took it in 2 inches so that it would be 4 inches of ease at the top. And it looks really good, if I do say so myself. I still have a lot of ease, and it was designed that way because I anticipate wearing this instead of a coat. I wanted a sweater like this because when I was a kid in high school, my grandmother had knit us a very heavyweight wool sweater. Hers had a hood. I didn't go for the hood. I actually did a cowl neckline, which came out pretty good. I have to do some I-cord for it. I put eyelets around the top so I could put it down and tie it tight if I want to keep the wind out from my neck. Because it gets really cold sometimes, and especially if I visit my parents upstate New York, it's very cold up there. And this is meant to take the place of a winter coat. This yarn turbine is woolen spun. It's going to be warm. It's going to be lovely. And I'll be wearing layers underneath it. Hence the reason I put so much ease into it. I want it to be a little loose. And I want to be able to wear a shirt and maybe a flannel or maybe a fleece underneath it and still be warm. And I'll have that cowl neck so I can tie it around my ears even if I get cold. Or if we're walking the dog or something with my mom and it's windy, I can just tie it up around my face and keep warm. It's going to be great. Now, I am going to wear it it's my Rhinebeck sweater. I will wear it, but damn, if it's hot out or walking in the crowded buildings, it's going to be torture in that sweater. And now I'm second guessing myself. I'm wondering maybe I shouldn't wear it. I don't know. Oh my gosh. What should I do? Knit another sweater. We'll talk about that too. Oh, what to do with the rest of the year. All right. So that is all the whips. I have some new stash. Ooh, it's so cool. So I have a new bag. First of all, a giant size bag from Jan Smiley. And I bought this because I'm going to Lake George for a long weekend at the end of the month. My husband's going tomorrow. He's going to be up there for a couple of weeks with his mom and his brother. And I'm just going for the last weekend. Her bag has this little guide on the side for your yarn, which is nice. It's suede. It's really nice. It has the zipper pull like I love. I love the color of the zipper. I love this canvasy fabric. It's nice and sturdy. So I know it's silly to buy another bag just for Lake George, but dang, I can't wait. It's beautiful up in Lake George if you've never been there. It's just such a lovely summer vacation place. So in this bag, she's got some nice pockets. And as a birthday gift, she threw in, oh, here it is, this. She was very kind and gave me one of her tool kits, which has a poke me knot it has a lose me knot in a larger size, and what this is has a little crochet hook in it for fixing, and it also has a smaller lose me knot that you can use for it has a couple of tapestry needles in it for sewing in ends, or you could also put you put stitch markers in there, whatever you need. And I have them in my bag. What this is an extra one that she sent to give away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as a giveaway prize for my 2016 goals contest, which I am failing miserably at. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about after I show you my new stash, which I put in my Jan Smiley bag. So, Highland Handmade Luxury Worsted Club. Alright, this is going to be hard, and, dang, alright. I actually have pictures that are better than this. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. This yarn is so beautiful. Oh, wow. So, in Heather of Highland Handmaid's Ravelry group, she has a thread for photo inspirations for her yarn club. And if you post a picture that she uses as her inspiration, you get that month free. And she used one of my pictures. And I'll put that picture here. It's a picture that my husband took of a rusty lock. And Heather captured the colors beautifully. And I'm definitely going to make something luxurious for my husband with this, since the picture was his. It's only fitting. It's called Under Lock and Key. And it is 60% merino, 20% yak, 20% silk. This is beyond luxury. This is just divine. This is my favorite base that she's used. I think it's the only one she's sent us that has yak in it. I've never knit with yak before, so I'm really excited about this, and I'm really excited that she used my photo. And any ideas what to knit my husband besides a hat? Because I know I could make a hat with this, but if my husband were out in the snow, I don't know if I'd want the silk and the yak getting wet. Maybe I should make him a scarf? What do you guys think? I don't know. Next on the hit parade, Spirit Trail Fiberwork, one of my favorite yarn dyers. Jeez, I have a splinter. Anyway, she had a kind of 25% off sale. She is making room for her new colorways for the fall. And she's also moving into a studio, so she wanted to clear out some of her oddball skeins that she only had one or two of, right? So I took a look, and I picked up two what I felt were kind of neutral colors of Sunna. Sunna is 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, 10% silk, and I would say it's my favorite sock yarn. This is the colorway Scrimshaw. It's a yellowy brown, hint of mustardy brown. It's straw. It's just it's a neutral tan brownish yellow. How's that? This is called Chimney Swift. Now, you probably won't see it, but I can see it, especially there. Let me do this. There's hints of green in this. I was thinking this was more of a charcoal gray, and there is charcoal gray in it, but it has a greenish undertone to it, which I wasn't expecting, but I'm sure there is something I can marry this with where it will tone down a wild shawl. So that's what I'm like. I've gotten these 3-color shawl bug. I want to knit me more shawls. Finally, I actually caved in and bought a bit of a splurge. I bought some mustache yarn. Did you buy Susan B. Anderson's new sock pattern? More like a recipe or a very useful hint on how to make a beautiful striped sock, which she added some heel advice, and it's great. I haven't started one yet, but I did look at Mustache's shop because that's where Susan got her family reunion colorway that she knit her pattern socks with. And I saw this color called Woodstock, and I fell in love. It is 20 stripe sock yarn. That's amazing. And I love the colors in it. She had a little sample. And you could just really see all the beautiful colors. I live not too far from Woodstock. It's about an hour and a half north of me. And yeah, I think I will use this yarn when I venture out and do Susan's pattern. But I don't think it's going to be my next sock because I got a few other ideas for my next pair of socks that there's so many socks I want to knit now. I have so many gorgeous sock yarns that I want to knit that I just can't keep up with my sock yarn stash. Okay, so that being said, time for some knitting talk. I wanted to mention something because today was sweltering hot, and I have a nice cool bedroom because I have the AC running. I usually don't run it downstairs because we don't spend a lot of time downstairs, so I knew I was going to be podcasting in my room, and quite honestly, it was a mess. So I said, well, let me clean my room. It's nice and cool up here. I won't sweat. And while I was cleaning my room, I had the podcasts going, and I was watching podcasts all day. I got caught up on all my favorites. I watched a couple that I haven't watched yet that I've heard about so many times, like the expat knitter one. I watched her for the first time. That was lovely. I loved seeing all her new stash, and she going around London with her brother, and just really lovely lady. I forget her name, but I only watched a couple of her episodes. But I have so many podcasts I love, and I have so many I want to start watching that it's impossible to keep up. But I have my favorites that I always watch, and one of them is Diane of Suburban Stitcher podcast, and I watched her today. And if you don't watch Diane, first of all, you should check out Suburban Stitcher. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, have. But her latest podcast, she and Stacy from Mustache Yarns interviewed some very famous and interesting knitter ladies. Part of the interview got corrupted, or she lost it, but what's left is well worth listening to. So the panel was Julie Weisenberger of Coco Knits, Clara Park, Stephanie Pearl McPhee, Ann Budd, and Stacy from Mustache asked the questions. There's no mistaking her voice, but it was wonderful to watch and, well, listen to even, because I was busy cleaning the room, but it was amazing, and I am so excited that they were able to. It was very candid and very laid back and informal. Stacy asked some really interesting questions, and occasionally you would hear Diane giggling in the background. So I just wanted to put that out there because I think you should all go and watch it right away. It was really awesome. Um, so that being said, and I want to, like in one of my episodes, how long am I going now? Oh, 40 minutes. Shoot. I try not to go more than like 45 minutes, but and sometimes it's so easy to, and I'm like, what? Only 15 minutes? But sometimes it's like hard to keep it down because, I watch other podcasts and I try and think of what I like and what makes them great and really popular. And I think one of the things is keeping it below 45 minutes. But it's hard, but it's the ones that are like an hour or longer. Even I just can't sit through the whole thing. Even the Knit Girls podcast, I usually skip the end when they talk about books and do the reviews because it's just too long. But I did want to talk a little bit about one of my year-long contests. That's what I do. They're usually year-long things. One is the senior level long. All the details are in my Ravelry group, and the other is that I'm doing this year is the 2016 goals contest, where you set some goals. I did it last year. It was lots of fun. You set some goals, and then you document them in the thread. And a goal isn't necessarily one project. A goal could be numerous projects. It could be trying a new technique. It could be knitting 12 pairs of socks. It should be a little challenging. It could be finishing all my whips, or finishing half of them, whatever. And each goal that you finish, you post the picture of the project and get credit for it. To get a chance to win a prize. And, I have lots of nice prizes. I haven't shown them in quite some time, but I've got lots of yarn and goodies and bags to give away. And now I have this toolkit from Jambi Smiley, too. So that being said, I was thinking about my goals, and I am way, haven't accomplished hardly anything. So I wanted to talk about that. The only thing I'm doing pretty good in is the socks. I wanted to knit 6 pairs of socks, and I wanted 2 of them to be fancy, and I pretty much definitely got that down, and probably even more socks than that. But I had put that I wanted to knit 4 Christmas gifts, one of them being a sweater for my son, and that ain't gonna happen. Forget that. I put a nice cozy shawl for my mom. I don't think that's going to happen unless I give her the Lazy Days of Summer shawl. I want that so bad. But my mom's so worth it. Maybe I'll do that. I know she will treasure it, so it would be well knit. I wanted to knit something cashmere for my mother-in-law. Hasn't happened. I wanted to finish some of my UFOs. Hasn't happened. Including like a pie shawl by Donna Jakunis that I started last year or the year before that I'm not even halfway done with. And what did I do? I start a test knit for her for a pie shawl when I haven't even finished the one from last year. Crazy. Other thing, let's see, what else have I haven't knit anything for my own senior level long yet. Now this year, and I'm opening it up wide. You can knit or make or craft any kind of small gift for them. And I was planning on doing some moki stuff. Like they have a snowman, a Christmas tree. They have lots of Christmassy stuff. And they have some Hanukkah stuff. Or even just anything cute. And I was also going to do some washcloths because I have tons of cotton yarn that I've collected to do washcloths. And I was going to make some beaded snowflakes, crochet or knit some. I know I have some. Lauren Elkin has some ornament patterns that I had bought kits for. And I was going to give those away. I haven't done any of those. I was going to do, how many hats did I say I wanted to do? I think I was going to do six hats for Granny. If you watch this Silly Fruit podcast, her grandmother, who passed away, I think 3 years ago, used to knit for charity hats. And I think it went to homeless people. And in her grandmother's honor or memory, she collects hats for the same cause that her grandmother knit for. And I was going to knit 6 hats, and I have not knit one single hat for her. So I definitely won't make 6. I have to knit a couple. So that I failed miserably. I was going to knit 3 things out of hand spun, not one hand spun project this year. Not one. I did publish a free pattern. That is my Awakening Cowl. That is a free pattern, and it's a pattern that I loved making because it's Fair Isle. I was also going to design and publish a sweater pattern. I did design one, but there's no way I'm going to publish it, and the reason is it's way too complicated, and no one in their right mind would ever want to knit this sweater. Imagine knitting Fair Isle flat. Imagine knitting a sweater that has 3 different gauges, and you have to constantly switch your stitch count and your needles. And just imagine a sweater that has 6 inches of ease and needs like $200 worth of bulky yarn. Nobody's gonna knit it, but I love it. What else? Oh, do a Fair Isle project. Obviously, I did that because of my Awakening Cowl. And that's it. So what happened is first of all, I started that Lazy Days of Summer shawl, and I committed to that test knit for Donna Dracunis, and that has taken up a lot of my knitting time. I don't regret it. I'm very happy to do this for Donna. I'm really excited about where the money's going, so I've got no problem doing the test knit. And then the Lazy Days of Summer shawl, it was a stash buster. I used up some stash yarn, and I think, I probably will end up giving it to my mother for Christmas. If I don't pull her name for Christmas, maybe I'll give it to her for her birthday, which is January 7th, not much longer after Christmas. So those kind of got in the way. My sweater took a lot of time. It was a lot of work designing the sweater. I have so much, I've designed some intricate lace shawls, and I've designed some fairly simple cowls. Patterns take a lot of time and work from the designer, and if you think they should be free, then you really don't appreciate the amount of work and effort and money that goes into designing anything, especially a sweater. Numerous swatching, hours of swatching, 2 or 3, almost I would say 2.5 skeins worth of yarn in swatching, because I had 3 stitch patterns that I had to swatch for. And then knitting the pieces, I had to seam it, and then figuring out all the lengths and all the decreases, and imagine having to size that into different sizes. I can't even fathom that. And then if you don't want to do that, you have to pay a tech editor to do that. And they're usually charging, the one I use charged, I think, $30 an hour, 20 or 15 because she was new. But you can expect to pay $30 an hour for a tech editor. And just as a reference, the tech editor that did the Awakening Cowl, it took her a little over an hour. And that's just a simple cowl. A sweater, especially if you need it sized, is going to take many hours and a lot of money to tech edit. So I support your designers, guys. I'm not a professional designer, so it's not big deal for me, but if they're putting out a lot of patterns and they're paying a lot of tech editor fees, they need your support. So don't give away patterns, and do support your designers, favorite designers, by purchasing patterns. So with that, I'm going to say adieu. It's 50 minutes now, and I really don't want to take up too much more of your time. I definitely want to get my air conditioner back on because it's getting hot in here, and it's also dinner time, and I want to have some dinner. And oh geez, I have to log in for work and get some work done. I have to do my mid-year review, which I'm having tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and I shouldn't be talking about work because it makes me sad. Work has been so stressful. So anyway, that's why I'm going to not talk about it right now. Thank you for joining me, and I can't wait to see you again in hopefully 2 weeks, maybe 3. I'm trying to stick to 2 weeks, but I just don't hold me to anything because I can't commit to a schedule because my life's too crazy. But I hope to see you again soon. Stay cool. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.